Nerdiest Prime.
Hi, and welcome to Nerdiest Prime. We are reviewing every episode of Star Trek Lower Decks. We are on episode 5 of season 4, Empathological Fallacies. And let's get our first impressions. Let's start with, guess who? Jenny.
This episode was fun and had good heart, and also, like a nice A-B split, and some really nice throwbacks, and Wendy Malick. It had everything. I enjoyed it very much.
Yeah, this one was again more. It's hard to review this stuff because I'm like it's just more of the same tone, very consistent. I have fun with it. It was nice to see another side of Betazoid society. Why is Jenny laughing so much? I don't know.
Because you're funny, Alan.
I am funny. I'm just like all stuffed up. I have no funniness in me.
I'm not laughing at you.
Yeah, and Wendy Malick. We were like, isn't that when we hear that voice, we're like, isn't that the lady from Just Shoot Me? And I'm listening like, yes, that is. And it took me a while to come up with it. I'm like, but we got it without seeing the credits.
I liked it. And I echo everything that Alan and Jenny have both said. Great episode. It's they're always going to be good, but I'm finding myself kind of getting a little bored because it feels like the same thing over and over again, and I miss like the experimental kind of feel of the first and the second season when they were kind of pushing things a little bit. Now it's just like kind of a little safe. So I'm hoping things will kind of pick up a little bit, but I'm starting to kind of feel a little meh about the episodes. They're still good, but I want a little bit more. I want a little bit more like spice, which I'm starting to feel isn't there.
Well, now you know how I was feeling last week, Namir. But I don't really feel that way this week. I had a great time. I watched some more Lower Decks season 2 between last week and this week. And I also like spies and spy stories. So there were spies in the episode. But I don't know who you guys are talking about. Jenny something? No, what? Who's the actor?
Wendy Malick.
Wendy Malick.
Who's that?
Among other things, she was on Just Shoot Me. She was also on Hot in Cleveland.
Hot in Cleveland, yes.
Yeah.
She's in a lot of stuff. She pops up in a lot of stuff. She has a very recognizable voice.
Yeah.
Yeah. She's also she's in the Owl House. It's like a Disney cartoon.
Oh, right.
My kids watch.
Mm-hmm.
You guys are all naming things that I've never even heard of before. So,
do you watch TV?
He doesn't watch anything that's like Star Trek or James Bond. So.
Oh, right, got it.
Basically, the plot is there's like a two kind of full plot. It's like transporting delegates, which we've seen many times before, and they kind of play on that. And then there's this sort of like second part of the plot, which is like emotional projection, which we've seen that before, most notably in Sarek, the episode Sarek of the third season of TNG, with the character Sarek, who's in it. And and there's something similar happens, I want to say, in Blood Fever, right?
Yeah.
Doesn't Torek, or is it Vorik?
Oh.
Torek, right?
Yeah.
Oh.
Doesn't he project
his onto B'Elanna?
Yeah.
Onto B'Elanna, right, okay.
I was thinking of
quite the same thing,
the Deep Space Nine episode.
Fascination? I also thought of Fascination watching this one, yeah.
Because they were talking about Xanthi Fever.
Yeah, which made everybody horny.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But that's because it was Lwaxana that was,
Mm-hmm.
A Betazoid woman of a certain age.
What do we think of the plot? Let's go with Jenny again.
Well, I really liked that it was, I like that they used something that we've seen 100 times where they're just like, they're transporting him to delegates. And they also they threw a lot of red herrings at us, but then gave us a nice little twist in terms of what the solution was. And in giving us the twist, they also gave us the sequel to that story, to Lynn's story, or not the sequel, but the follow up. to the story where she was actually like booted out of the Vulcan. What do we call them? The Vulcan Starfleet? High Command, whatever. Yeah, anyway. So I thought they used a lot of throwbacks to give us a nice payoff, I thought. And a lot of like good comedy. And I also really enjoyed the Boimler stuff because it was just like, silly, obviously, but it's, again, these are Lower Decks people and they're just figuring stuff out, and it's nice to sort of have a call, like, to go back to that and, remember that that's who these people are. So I enjoyed that very much.
Yeah, I thought it was fine. I thought it was great. It's well written. I enjoyed the Boimler B plot. I thought that was a lot of fun. I thought it was, you don't really get to see the Shacks and the security team kind of do a lot, and so this was an interesting take on it. I like that idea that they're also in charge of the crew's like mental well-being, like they're protecting the crew's emotional states as well. That was kind of cute. And Shax is a great character, so I always love to see him, included in the episode. The A storyline was not as interesting to me. I like Talin. I think she's a great character. I just think like the Betazoid kind of, it did end up not being them, but I think that feels very familiar. Like, that whole idea that somebody, if you're psychic, if you get, I guess Talin had bandy fever or something like that instead of whatever the other one was. But like that idea that they could have a disease and then that whatever that virus is makes their psychic emotional state affect everybody else. It's been kind of done before. So I like Lower Decks when they do something that we've never seen. Right? That's something totally, completely different. So it just felt a little bit familiar, and the B story wasn't. Like that whole idea of the security team being in charge of people's mental well-being was kind of cool. But the A story was a little bit like, I feel like I've seen it before. But that said, it's I always have to add a caveat to all of these things I say, because it's like in the context of Lower Decks, which is just so good anyway. It's still good. It's just that's how I feel. Okay.
Okay.
About Alan, what are your feelings about the plot of this episode?
Yeah, I feel the same way with Namir. It seems like we were getting like a few familiar beats. Like I've immediately thought of Fascination as soon as these Betazoid women started to feel like they were infecting the crew, and then when we had the Bandai syndrome, whatever, there, like immediately thought of Sarek. So we're getting some retreads. I mean, you get a little bit of different flavor with these different characters, but yeah, I think the same thing where it's like the Boimler plot felt like classic Lower Decks and more where the show excels, and the other ones felt a little bit rehashy, but I mean the gags are still there and the references, so I still have a fun time with it. But yeah, and I feel like by episode 5, the since we're at the mid-season point, um, that the secret ship plot would start to take off, and it really is still spinning its wheels, like with 30-second reference, every other episode. So you know, but maybe the back half will start kicking off of that. So
I enjoyed the part of the plot about the escorting the delegates, because it's kind of a trope in Star Trek by now that the diplomats are difficult in some sort of way. And just it's interesting because I just picked up a Star Trek kind of omnibus graphic novel of the Marvel Star Trek series from the 80s. And I started reading it, and the first thing is like, Jim, there's a diplomat once, and they're doing this whole diplomat thing again. So I'm like, oh wow, it's funny that was what the episode was, because that's what the comic book was this week. But Yeah, I mean, I just liked how they played with that. You know, when she said, "I sense that you think this is beneath you." She's like, "Oh no, I totally love bringing diplomats to from one place to another." Um, and the fact that they were all kind of party animals, they kind of took the Luoxana like character and they like did like a triplicate of it, and I thought that was fun.
Mhm.
I like that. Um, who knew that when who guessed that when Rutherford said, "I think he's ready for the program," that when he showed up, that it was going to be something totally benign. Because I just the
Oh,
kind of how they
yeah.
always make, yeah,
I mean, I figured because Shax is I figured it was it's like you think he's doing something crazy and he's off doing pottery. Like,
Yeah.
Yeah,
I'll take
or
care of you, baby bear.
yeah, yeah. I thought there was like Klingon slam poetry. That was amazing.
yeah, that was incredible.
Like,
That was
and
so
Alan's right. Like that.
good.
That's classic Lower Decks, right? Like
Mhm.
that's why that those are the parts that I remember, and that's kind of why I watch it. Like those things that you've never seen before. Those really cool, clever kind of digs at the show that are reverential, right? Like that to me is really what the show is about. So I don't think they have to retread old storylines. So it's always disappointing to me when it's
Mhm.
something we've already seen, even if they are kind of doing something different with it. I'd rather they just do the whole thing uniquely. Like
Mhm.
it's like an original Lower Decks episode with its own ideas.
I love how much this crew loves the Enterprise NX-01 crew too.
I know.
It's like I want to do the puzzle. I'm like I want to do the Malcolm Reed part.
I know. It was awesome. It's so good.
I was like, was Malcolm Reed ever popular? I'm like,
No,
he
no,
is
it
on the
wasn't.
I
ship.
don't know.
but it was more popular than the pilot. The Helmet.
Then
Yeah, I mean,
yeah.
just barely.
Who
Oh my
who I can't
god.
remember his name right now. What's his name?
Oh my god, I
Travis
can't remember now
Mayweather.
either. What the hell's his
Oh my
name?
god, that's
Come
not
on,
good.
Mayweather.
Mayweather.
Oh,
Thank you. Thank
Mayweather.
you. Travis Mayweather. Yeah.
See, that's how much
Hmm.
better Malcolm
He
Reed is.
he
Yeah.
he was
But I
always the one
loved
getting injured.
yeah. I just love that it was like the security team was doing a Malcolm Reed puzzle because they're like security nerds and he's like
Mm-hmm.
He's probably a legend.
yeah,
He
yeah, I like
invented
that.
phasers and photon phase cannons,
Kind of.
kind of.
It's funny because we've been reviewing the Next Generation season 1, and I find that first season did a lot of rethreads of the original series, but not like
Hmm.
in a good way, generally speaking. But when Lower Decks does it, it's fun because they can do the sort of the same kind of situation that we've seen a million times before, but then that gives them like a canvas to do all their humor on.
Yeah,
And one of the things
exactly.
I really enjoyed were all these little moments. I didn't really care about the plot. And as you guys pointed out last week, like who gives a shit about the plot? And it's all about having a good time. And so I
Mhm.
really had a good time. I took your advice and I had a good time this week. And I really love the stuff where you get these little tidbits of like Caitians used to eat betazoids,
Yes, that was
and now
amazing.
now they only have synthetic betazoids, and then the cat going like crazy. And I liked how she got she was kind of like you weren't sure if she was joking or not about eating
Mhm.
betazoids, but then by the end of the episode, she's totally gone bananas. She doesn't even have clothes on anymore.
Yes.
and they give her a glass of warm milk to calm her
Yeah,
down.
yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
So good.
And how Shax is like he's totally not aware of it because he's been in the basement of the ship, and when he comes up, he's like, "Whoa, honey, what are you doing?" You know what the other episode this reminded me of is Naked Now,
Mhm.
where everybody's all like everybody's going crazy, but in that movie everybody's just being sex crazy. But
Mhm.
I mean, I guess there's a little bit of that. Everybody ended up in their underwear for some reason in this episode. So, what were your favorite kind of little moments in all the craziness?
Ransom. I really enjoyed Ransom. Like getting his feelings hurt. That was like really, really amazing. Just like You know, like just and like as we kind of went back to him, he was just getting worse and worse and worse. I really liked that. That was awesome. Once again, we're getting another peel of the onion that is Ransom, and I like that.
I'm gonna steal what probably Lucas liked, but I love that they turned away from the Nutrizoids last minute. The Romulans and
That
Klingons
was
are
so
like,
good.
like we were so close to getting into a battle. Let's go skulk around over here.
So awesome.
That was going to be
That was
my thing
great.
too. That was going to be my favorite
Sorry.
part.
Yeah, I love that.
That was a great moment.
Oh,
Mhm.
you can have the guy who got mad at the replicator.
I
Yes.
didn't like that.
Don't you make
I was kind of like, nah, that wasn't funny. I didn't like that. Although he was getting mad at the replicator for not giving him regurgitated food. He's like, I need it like it's coming from my mother's beak.
Yeah.
That was pretty funny.
Yeah, that was awesome.
Is he based on a character from the original from the animated series? His species, his bird
like
species.
What was the bird species? Weren't they from Beetlejuice or something?
Oh, like Beetlejuice?
Yeah, how do you pronounce it?
Yeah.
I think people pronounce it Beetlejuice, don't they?
Yeah.
Like they
Yeah.
were.
I just mean like differentiating. I thought you meant like the movie Beetlejuice.
No,
Yeah.
like in the
Gotcha.
anime series, I'm pretty sure that's what they're called, like those bird people.
Oh, that's funny. Maybe, I don't know.
So they are from the anime series.
Betelgeusians?
Betelgeuse. Yeah.
Betelgeusians? I don't know. Teddy really wants a hug, and it's like, I will only accept one embrace. It's like, I have no interest in the second piece. They suggest that they do pottery or something. That's a character I feel like they need a whole episode for Dr. Ta'ana. I don't feel like she's been like focused on yet in the series. She needs her own spotlight episode.
My favorite with her still is the box. Like when she jumps in the box and she gets in and she comes up and her eyes are all like it's just
yeah, there's so many cat jokes.
Yeah, because there are cat people making this. They know their cat stuff. It's awesome.
Does anybody have any more theories about what that alien ship is?
Like, no. Do you?
Really not. There was nothing new here to really.
There wasn't, but I think maybe Lucas might be right. I think it might be like a V'ger related thing because I just watched the motion picture, and I'm like, it would kind of make sense, right? They haven't done anything with V'ger, and you don't know what race created V'ger. Or I know it was like like Cybertron, right? Like, but there's no like answered questions, right? So I wouldn't be surprised if they pulled that out of their hats, and I think they should. I think that actually that would be kind of cool.
This is all very interesting.
Yeah, unless I'm wrong.
If
you guys are right, I swear to God, it's going to be insane if you guys are right.
But I'm not like they haven't touched like V'ger in any of the other shows or anything subsequent, right? Like it's just kind of.
I'm glad that you watched the movie. That's a lot.
I'll get around to it eventually.
I still wanted to be probe related from Star Trek 4 and Matt the Whale to save the ship.
Nice.
That makes zero sense.
Completely random.
That's not going to be probe related. There's no way.
First of all, the ship isn't cylindrical, and there isn't a little ball that comes out of it.
Yeah.
So
and it doesn't have whale-like skin. It doesn't make those weird noises. No whale song. Although it does stand on its end to kill them. So I don't know. Maybe Alan's right. Who knows?
I don't know. It
It's
just looks
Boba
like
Fett.
It just looks like Boba Fett's ship. That's what. Yeah, it's all I see when I see it.
That'd be amazing. If that's what it was, if it was Boba Fett, I would be like, yes, bravo. Bravo, Lower Deck.
Star Wars is finally canonized in Star Trek.
Oh man.
There's some sort of alternate reality where Star Wars comes through.
So
Star Wars did. There has been Alderaan was on screen in an episode.
Wasn't the Millennium Falcon in the First Contact battle?
It was.
It was. Yeah,
It was.
Yeah.
there we go. Before we get to the ratings, I noticed that there were two very short treks that came out in the
Two.
last since we
Oh,
did the last one.
right.
We had the gross one, and then we had the holodeck one.
Oh, you know what? I didn't watch
Um,
the holodeck one. I just watched the gross one.
Because the holodeck one was an improvement, a significant improvement.
That
Oh,
gross
really?
one was
Yeah.
so bad.
okay, so let's talk very briefly about the very short treks, worst contact about, and we don't have to talk about it, give our initial thoughts. We can just give our thoughts since the whole thing's only like 30 seconds long. So Jenny, why don't you get started here?
Well, Worst Contact, I did not love. I did not love it, but you know what I did love? The absolutely random moment where Beverly calls Will Bill. Like I was like, yes, this is so weird. That is perfect. Like just that was perfect. But that's it.
I was wondering, like, has anybody ever called him Bill?
In the beginning, yeah, Deanna does
Deanna does.
in The Naked Now and
Did you watch the first season with us?
Listen, okay, I'm not going to remember
I
the
have you on
minutia of
camera.
every single
Yeah.
episode.
No, Namir, I have you are on tape on this channel talking about this.
That's
It's
amazing.
like 2 years
You bring it
ago.
up. So
Yes.
I'll just tell you verbatim what you said and what Alan said. You said, "Oh, Troy calls Riker Bill in this episode, Naked Now," and then Alan says, "Oh, and the only other time he calls him Bill is in Haven."
Thank you.
And
Yeah.
the reason for that was that Haven and Naked Now were filmed back to back, but then Haven got pushed way back because of the visual effects or whatever reason. So it ends up being episode 7 or whatever it is. And so there's these two weird times that she calls him Bill. Yeah.
And in the original like writer's Bible for the characters, he was supposed to be called Bill for some reason. Because I guess because it was 1987.
Yeah. Honestly, I didn't mind Worst Contact. I thought it was gross, but it was kind of funny. Like it was so over the top that you just had to laugh at it. Like because you kind of knew what was going on and you knew where it was going to go, but then they kind of push it a little bit. And you're like, oh god, I can't believe I just saw that. But I didn't mind it so much. I thought it had its moments. It's so short.
Yeah. I mean, I didn't hate it. I just didn't love it.
It was thankfully short.
Yeah.
I think Alan hated it.
I absolutely hated that one. It was incredibly juvenile. Like they're doing snot jokes. Really, it was like it was just terrible. It was terrible across the board. I was shocked that Jonathan Frakes and Gates McFadden would lend their voices to this. That they would read this and say, "Okay, yeah, you can hit record on this. This is great." Because they must have had a gun to their head. Because I'm like, why would you be involved in this? Unless there's a wheelbarrow money involved. I don't know. But it was embarrassing, and it should be destroyed. Just destroy that, delete it, put a big magnet by the hard drive it's on. I don't know.
It wasn't that bad.
Do something. Jettison into the sun. I don't care.
Number one, I will second what Jenny said. I like that moment where Beverly said Bill. I like that they were the actual voices, and I like that it was the Next Generation characters that were in the episode.
Yes.
I really don't like that kind of humor, and I actually find it disgusting. So, and I go, do they do not understand what the audience of Star Trek is? Because that is not the audience of Star Trek at all. And I go, the only reason they'd be doing that kind of humor is to say, let's get the young kids, let's get this other demographic over here. And I'm like, it's just like, stop It's like it's a person who's like so desperate. They're like, I'll have sex with anybody. You're just go stop. You're just embarrassing yourself. Like you don't. Star Trek is Star Trek. It doesn't have to be for everybody. It's not meant to be for everybody. So stop trying to make it for everybody by doing this stupid shit.
I don't necessarily think that's what they were doing. I think they were commenting on the idea that they've never run into a race that's disgusting. You know what I
That
mean?
they were like, and goodbye.
Yeah, exactly,
Yeah,
exactly. Like,
but they were incredibly
yeah,
unprofessional about it. At the same
well, but
time.
it has to be funny, right? Like it,
No.
like the alien race is doing the exact thing that humans find the most disgusting,
Yeah.
which is funny.
Yeah.
Right? Like that's why that's why like Riker, when he figures it out, he's like, no, 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 you know, because it's so gross.
Yeah.
They already did that in Enterprise reversed when the where the Cretaceans didn't like people who ate with their mouths or
Yeah.
with their hands,
Or just in front of each other, like just
or just in
publicly
front of each other.
eating.
Yeah, like
Yeah.
eating was a private thing.
Yeah.
And they didn't realize that they were getting offended by
Mhm.
eating together. And then
Right.
there was this whole diplomatic fallout because of this. They didn't understand what they had done to kick them off the planet. See, so that
and we spent.
that kind of thing was good. That was a good.
Mhm.
I think there's a lot of things that haven't been done, or it doesn't mean they should be done. That's my 2 cents. I don't need to see these people go to the bathroom. They all go to the bathroom. Potty jokes can be funny. Do we need to see them take a shit? No, I don't think we need to see that. We're gonna just leave it at that because we already spent way too much time on that.
That was 10 times as long as the actual short.
Tearing the fandom apart.
Let's talk about our ratings, and then I want to ask you guys a special question at the end. Okay.
Ooh.
Okay, so let's do our ratings for this episode. Empathological Fallacies. Let's start with Alan.
Yeah, I mean, this one was not bad. It was pretty good. I said I had fun, but I probably didn't like it as much as some of the other ones we've seen already this season. So I'm looking at a 7, which is probably in the low end for a Lower Decks episode for me. But I also had a hard time differentiating the trio of Betazoid women. Like they all seem like the same character. Like, I didn't really get any distinct personalities from them. So I mean, I didn't find them that engaging. So the A plot didn't do as much for me as the Lower Decks B plot, and I guess C plot. Was there really kind of a C plot? I guess Talin's story kind of blends with the Betazoid story, so maybe it's an A B.
Mm-hmm.
But anyway,
the C plot is the mysterious ship that's just like in the background.
Oh, okay, sure.
Of the story. Yeah.
So yeah, I'd probably give this one like a 7 out of 10.
I feel like I didn't like it as much as Alan, so I don't want to give it a 7. I'm gonna go as low as a 6, which feels wrong, but I'm gonna do it. I'm committing. 'Cause I did like it. Like it's, it's I like.
You hate to like
I guess
anything
I like
more than me.
60%. I know I can't. I don't know. It just doesn't.
But
feel
you didn't have
right.
a problem with it with season 1 of Next Generation.
I like season 1 of Next Generation. That's why. I will die defending season 1.
I completely agree. Arsenal of Freedom is so good. I love it.
Well, that is a good one.
Yeah.
Yeah, that is a good one. You're right.
I know.
Conspiracy?
Right?
Yeah, I'm gonna give it a 6. I liked it. I kind of feel like it could have been better. I feel like they're kind of retreading a lot of ground that Star Trek has already kind of gone over, and I like Lower Decks because they're always doing something new and fresh. I didn't see it here, other than Boimler's storyline, which was not a big part of the episode. So it didn't really have the things that I look for to give it a 9 and or above. So I'm going to give it a 6.
All right. So it's funny because I think the retread was of those used ideas was used well and took us somewhere. And I liked that. And I liked this episode quite a bit. And based on I think what I've got going, I'm going to give it a solid 8 because it's me. So yeah, I liked it quite a bit. and I laughed, and it was
That's pretty
fun.
low for Jenny though.
I know, but I don't
It
know.
is.
I've lost track of what I need to write down my scores because
I feel
yeah,
like that's Jenny's scale, like 8 to 10. Like 8
basically
is bad,
for lower decks they have to go
like
pretty
10 is
low to
great.
get below an 8. Anyway, do with that what you will, Lucas.
I feel conflicted about it because I didn't think it was a great episode, but I enjoyed it more than the other episodes. I think it's so like mood related, like the
Hmm.
mood I was in when I watched it. I was in a good mood, so in the mood that I was, I would give it an 8. But maybe it's more like a 7. But I'll give it an 8 just because that's how I felt at the
Hmm.
time. I liked, yeah, I I liked the humor and the cat jokes. So I'll give it
The cat jokes too.
8. Okay,
Mhm.
so before we go, I want to talk about like an announcement that's maybe not an announcement,
Ooh.
but I guess maybe a double kind of thing involving Patrick Stewart. Number one, Patrick Stewart released his autobiography this week, and he's very excited about it. I saw him on Instagram opening up the package, and he was like smelling his book, and it was great. And
Oh, that new
then,
book
and
smells.
also, uh, uh, there was some news that came out that he is trying to talk Paramount into doing a Star Trek Picard feature.
Mhm.
And so, what are our thoughts about both those things? Let's start with Jenny
Hmm.
because I know that Jenny, you ordered his book.
Yeah, I'm kind of well, I'm really excited about the book. I think it's going to be good. I hope it's going to be good. I really enjoy a good Hollywood autobiography. My particular favorite is David Niven's. Um and Michael Caine's, highly recommend. And Shelley Winters. Anyway, beside the point. Um, yeah. Anyway, so I'm excited about that. I'm interested to read it, and I mean, like he's pushing Paramount to make. Listen, if they make anything else with Next Generation, I will watch it. Obviously, I'm super greedy. I love these people. I'll watch anything they do. Should they? I feel like they've sort of tied, like it's one thing if they're like kind of passing through a legacy situation or something, but it's yeah, I don't know. I don't know. I'll watch it, but I also don't think it's going to happen.
Okay, Namia, what do you think?
Mm, I think it's interesting. I wish he had come up with like a better title than Making It So. I, like like where no Jean has gone before. So I think that
Nice.
would have been a good one.
Mm-hmm.
That would be my personal favorite. But you
But
know,
what about the movie? What do you think about the idea of the movie?
I think it's a terrible idea. I think it's such a bad idea. I think it's such a bad idea. But I get it because they didn't really end the Picard story in the last season, right? Like I remember reading the original ending was supposed to be he's on his vineyard and he has like the sun is setting and he's overlooking his vineyard and he's having a glass of
Mm-hmm.
Chateau Picard and I guess Beverly off screen calls him for dinner and that's how it ends, right?
This
So
this
he's
is his idea about how it should end.
yeah, and
Keep
that's
keeping in mind.
keeping him and
Yeah.
that would have been a fine ending, but they're not letting him they're not letting him live his life, They're not- they keep pulling him back in and I think he's too I don't want to see it anymore. I
Mm-hmm.
don't. I love the character and I want to remember it. I want to remember him
Hmm.
as he is now. I don't want them to do anything else because they're gonna it's just gonna make me upset and angry. No, which the show is already done. So I hope. I mean, obviously, I'm gonna go watch it. I mean, like but I'm not gonna like it.
Oh my god.
Alan, what are your thoughts about the possibility of a Star Trek Picard movie?
Don't do it. Don't do it.
No, really?
They went
They're
out on it.
they're
They
not
went out
going
on
to.
a surprisingly high note. After watching Picard really struggle with with trying to be good. they 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 wrapped it up pretty good. So we don't need that. And I think Patrick Stewart is always, as much as I like the guy seems like he's very nice and stand up dude, but it seems like his ideas are kind of terrible when it comes to Star Trek. So he should just stop. Because I mean, he's the one that made Insurrection more lighthearted. He's also I think the one of the driving forces for making Nemesis. And those movies probably shouldn't have existed in the final form that they did. So I feel like he has a little too much say, and they shouldn't listen to him.
Wow, this is not what I expected at all. I thought for sure that
I
Jenny
just,
and Alan would be
but again,
excited.
I'm with
Well, like
Jenny
I
and
say,
Namir. If they make it, I'll watch it.
yes.
And that's
I
isn't
wish
that
they
really
wouldn't.
the
I
problem
really
though?
wish they wouldn't.
Isn't that the problem? Because
Mm.
we're just going to go watch it so they can make whatever they want and it's not going to matter.
Yeah.
Like
Mhm.
there's an exec at Paramount basically saying, if we make it, they'll watch it. Right?
Yeah. But I
He's
don't
just saying
think
what we're saying.
they're not going to make it. They're not going to make it.
I just
For
feel
a
like
lot of
Yeah, maybe
reasons,
not.
they're not going to make it.
Yeah.
Picard is Patrick Stewart is too old to be in a science fiction action adventure. So unless they're going to make it like something really different, it's like an elderly Starfleet officer, learning to live with a quiet retirement. And I don't even know how they would make that interesting. I really don't. But it's like I
I
just
feel
don't need
they've
to
already
see.
tried to do that like 3 times in each season. Each season
Yeah,
starts with
and
Mhm.
Picard
he always gets
quietly
a call from
retired.
some admiral.
I'm really surprised that nobody's pitched like a young Picard TV show.
It's
Well,
funny.
maybe they have.
There's a comic
There'll
book
be a
right now. There's a comic book
there'll be a
series
reboot.
of Picard at the Academy that's like
Oh,
literally just launched like 2 months ago.
Yeah, there you go.
Give
Like
it another
that to
decade.
Mhm.
me,
There'll be a young cast reboot of TNG.
well, uh, I don't know that the Star Trek Picard is going to be a feature film in the movie theaters,
Mhm.
aside from special engagement
Oh
type
no,
situations.
mm,
No.
that won't happen.
But just recently they had announced a Section 21 feature that they were going to release on Paramount Plus with what?
21. Oh my god, you're gonna have to edit that out. You said
Did I
Section
say 21?
21. You did.
Oh, I did not mean. I must have. My brain must have thought Forever 21.
Really?
Forever
Okay, I'll do
21.
that
You're
over.
thinking about Forever 21?
The clothing store?
Is that for like teenage girls?
Yeah, would he shop
No,
at Hot Topic or
no,
something?
because in my brain, I did say Section 31, and then Jenny's going like, and I'm like, what are you doing? It's like Star Trek 3 is better than 1. I don't
No.
understand what you're saying.
That's also a movie I don't want to see.
Yeah.
So I think under that guise, the Star Trek Picard movie could get made, and I mean, should it be made? I don't know. It's like,
No.
yeah, I think that they went out on a high note.
Mhm.
So yeah, so the part of me that goes, well, then don't screw it up, but that makes it more likely there's a movie because they're really like screwing the pooch on the first 2 seasons, and then they turn it around at the last minute, and they only turned it around because they did season 2 and 3 back to back, like they did them at the same time. The ratings went through the roof, and everybody loved it, and they go, oh wow, that was unexpected. So it's more likely
Hmm.
that they would want to capitalize on that than not, because they're not thinking about what's going to be good for the legacy of Next Generation, the show. They're thinking,
Ah,
how can we make more money?
but speaking of
What?
legacy,
Yes.
the push from the fandom is to do that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
If
Right.
anything happens, it's going to be legacy.
Yeah,
That's
I
what
can
I
see
think.
them if they don't do a TV show. I can see them doing like a
Yeah.
next generation
It's
movie,
going to be a
Mm.
right?
Jerry Ryan driven project, whatever's next. I don't even know if Starfleet Academy or the Section 31 movie are going to happen because there's no interest in it.
Mm.
And there's a ton of
Yeah,
interest in 7 and 9 being an Enterprise captain. So they'd
and
be
streamers
crazy to not listen to that.
And streamers are going to be a lot more picky in terms of what they put in production
Yeah,
because of the writer's
that's if
strike.
we even get anything. Yeah, with the
Yeah,
way
yeah,
their
exactly.
finances are.
Yeah, exactly. So I think they're going to be a lot less like prone to fund things that are sort of on the fence. Like I think
Mm.
Picard would be, like maybe there's an audience, for it. I mean, there is. It's all the Trekkies, but that might not be enough.
Mm. Hmm.
Okay,
So
that is a good final thought from the mirror.
It was. It was a
What?
good final thought.
I want to see
What?
Michelle Yeoh in Section 21 at Forever 21.
and Hot Topic.
Cute outro music.
Just where in the future the things we've done and said. Let's just push the button we